Ben, thanks for coming. And what I will do is I will share my screen with everyone, and I'll show you the basic process we're going to run through and what we need to do for this term, and then just open it up to whatever questions you have. Hopefully, I can do this. So I'm going to share this top here. And let me see when I drag it over here, make sure I'm. So do you see our classroom here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Because sometimes I have a couple screens, so sometimes I think I'm sharing the right one. Okay, so first off, announcements. I'm going to be there once or twice a week, just helping us move forward in whatever we're doing for that week. This particular class, we have 4 what they call artifacts that have to be approved. Now, what does that mean? There's the big question, right? So that means that we have to have 4 things that we submit into Passport, and I'll show you Passport in a minute, that are accepted. So in this class, I'm more like a binary type of person with this. It's acceptable, not acceptable. At no time am I just going to say not acceptable, done. I'm going to give you reasons why and what we need to fix, because we want these artifacts to be something that you can show off. Is what we want in a nutshell. So if for some reason you do get feedback where it just says not accepted, send me an email, because either I hit send before I typed in what I wanted to tell you, or something weird happened within the system. So just for that happened once or twice last term with this, because I talked to you primarily through Passport when it comes to the artifacts that you're going to make. And this is the process that we will go through. Week 1 is this challenge submission blog is going to be big. But week 1, my computer's moving slow because we're online, so I apologize for that. Hopefully you can build your artifact quicker than this can get to the one. So in week 1, it talks about just get used to kind of all the terminology, competency, challenge, badge, sub-badge, super badge, passport, evidence, and all of that. Think of everything you submit. You're going to have a lot of things from classes, things like that you're going to submit. I'm not going to bore you with all the definitions. You can read through that. But for this week, all we're doing is introduction. You're going to review the documents, and then by Wednesday, statement of program commitment. Friday, the plagiarism tutorial. Please just make sure you finish that. And then we really start getting into it a little bit more here in week 2. We're going to jump into this challenge submission blog in week 2, but I'll show you that in just one second as this comes up.
And just to make sure I understand, we're on week 2, right?
We are just starting week 2, yes.
Okay.
I did make that sound like we were on week 1.
That's okay. I just want to make sure. Yeah. I was like, well, I think I did that.
Yeah. So if you haven't done that, please do. So we are on week 2, and the task, readings, and assignments. Challenge plan for the course is the big assignment. Now, what does that mean? Let's take a look at our challenge submission blog. And have you had a chance to look at the submission blog yet?
I think so. I know that I have the what is it? The bingo sheet.
Yeah, bingo
and then
sheet
there was
important. Yes.
Yeah, and then there was some corresponding info to go with that I had.
Yeah. So and this is what we're going to do with it. This can look like a lot of different. This can look intimidating when we first started, because this is our introduction course for this. So all that it basically says, I'm going to put it in George speak for you. We have 4 artifacts that we have to turn in and get approved. Week 5, we're going to submit one. Week 9, week 11, and week 13. So there's going to be 1 artifact for each one of these, or as we call it, challenge materials. You're going to have to put the reflection along with the evidence as well. The reflections are going to be important. I'll tell you that in just a second. But so week 5, you're going to submit to the discussion forum your artifact, your reflection, and your evidence. Now, what we're doing here in the blog is you're going to tell everybody what you're going to submit. Week 5, you're going to do it just like this. for this badge, this sub badge, this is a challenge that I'm going to be submitting for, and here's the evidence that I'm going to submit. If you just put in a table, or you can put it like they have it here as a sample and just walk it down the line. So for my professional foundations in LDT, ID professional communicator sub badge, the challenge is solicit, accept, provide constructive feedback. This is what I'm going to do for my evidence. And you say, well, how can I come up with all this? The bingo sheet that you talked about, Christine, is a big deal. That is a huge deal. So this is what we're going to work on this week. You're going to come up with weeks 5, 9, 11, 13, what super badge, sub badge, challenge, and evidence you're going to work towards. Because remember, we just have to have the magic 4. Some classes you have to have 9, but by the time you're used to doing this, it shouldn't be that much of a big deal for you. Did you have a question? Oh, I can't hear you, Maripla, for some reason.
Sorry.
There we go.
Do we choose our challenge?
Say it again, please.
Do we choose our own challenges or like badges, or is it a sign?
You choose.
Okay.
It is your choice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's your choice to choose which ones you want. Thank you.
Okay.
And the bingo sheet is a big deal for that. Let's jump into resources. So the way to kind of plot this out or plan this out, I start with the bingo sheet just to kind of give myself perspective on what I want to do. There we go. Course challenge alignment bingo sheet. I'm going to click that. Maybe I'm thinking about coming. There we go. So you notice how this table is set up pretty much exactly like what you just saw in the blog. Oops, the blog's gone. But it's set up the exact same way. So that's a very simple way to kind of go about it. The only thing that could be different, so let's do planning and analysis just because it's blue right now. Makes it look a little bit simpler. Super badge, planning and analysis. Sub badge, analysis techniques for instruction. Here's my challenge. These are already set. Use appropriate techniques to analyze various types and sources to validate content. Now the assignment, this is what you come up with. So this is your contribution to it, because anywhere you see in the bingo sheet under assignments, that's a suggestion of what you can use for like an example. It is by no way meant to be an exhaustive list of any type. So let's take a look. So for example, professional foundations in LDT. I want to be working towards that badge. Here's my sub badge. Here's the challenge. Right here is one thing that can work to it. Now, acquire and apply new technology skills in instructional design practice. If you have something that you've done on the job where you learned a new skill to use, you can use that here. Absolutely. You just have to supply the artifact that you created and then write your reflection. And the reflection's a big deal. Because when the reflection comes up, these are going to be your instructions to kind of go through and write your reflection. And they are coming up. And if you just follow this process, it won't be much of a challenge to you. It'll just kind of creates that time and space where you can reflect on what you're doing, why you're doing it. So it kind of helps give us greater focus on where we're going. And then you're going to submit this and the artifact into the discussion forum. And in there, you have your self-assessment checklist and everything there. Those are all fantastic to look at. And in our discussion, so by week 5, you're going to submit your first 1-2 discussions. And here it is, week 5. You're going to submit your challenge and peer review. So let's say I submit something, and then I need one person to peer review it. So I'm going to be asking for volunteers. Somebody, here's my materials, my reflection, and my artifact. Can I get someone to review it? One person will review it, and we will review it using, and I should have gone there first, how slow my computer is, using the specific review. Let me just show you rather than tell you, using the specific review process here. Where'd it go? I lost it. Oh, you're on mute, Ripley.
It's the first one.
Oh, I didn't miss it. I just didn't see it. I thought I was losing my mind for a minute. That happens from time to time. Thank you for that. So you're going to use this specific peer review form. And the reason why this whole thing was put together is so we could get good at reviewing and critiquing work, because especially as a designer, if I put something out, I want a lot of eyes on it first, looking at it and giving me constructive feedback on how to make it better. Because if I don't have all those eyes on it telling me how to be better, guess what? When it gets out to the world, everybody's going to tell me how it should be better. So we have to get good at helping each other get better. That's part of our personal growth, professional growth, are these peer reviews. Because most places, everywhere that I've been, has a peer review process that they go through. It's either formal or informal, but we have people looking at it. We tend to have a more formalized approach to it where I'm at, because we simply want, when we get feedback back from it, we don't want those small things coming back to us. We want to, if something's wrong, it needs to be because something changed outside in the manufacturing world, not because of something that we omitted or weren't clear enough stating. So this is very important when we give peer feedback, not to just say, oh yeah, it's good, I like the way you did this, or I like the way you did that. Go in and really take a look, and even if you don't think that anything needs to be changed, give your perspective on it. Like when I give feedback in a normal class, I'm kind of binary here, but a normal class, I'll say, yeah, this earned full points. This was very good, very well stated. You could also look at it from this perspective as well. And then so give people opportunities to grow, because we're helping each other grow is the bottom line with this. Does that make sense, or did I just kind of muddy the water with that one? Okay, we're good to go. We got a thumbs up.
Yep, makes sense.
Okay, then once you do that, you get your peer review. You make any adjustments that you want within your artifact, and they're also going to be looking at your reflection as well, because your reflection is basically, think of it as convincing everyone why it should be acceptable for whatever challenge you're doing. And then we are going to go to Passport. And in Passport is where you will submit everything. And then I will go in and accept, or I've never just, if you get a flat rejection, that's because it doesn't meet the challenge. Haven't seen that happen yet, but we can always we can always do that at some point. We've all made a mistake, something like that before. So when we log in here, it's going to come in, and it's thinking. And here we go. Then you're going to come up, and you are simply going to, this is what mine looks like. So I'll get a list of everybody that's submitted something, and I go through and just look at each one. And this is what you will see. So you can go to any one of these. Mine looks a little bit different, but you'll see how to submit. So for these, you can see all the badge prerequisites that come in for this and everything else. You can go in there and just kind of play around in here to see what it looks like and how to submit and everything else. So for professional foundations in LDT, those are the badges you'll have to earn, and we can click our different challenges, and there you go. Now, I don't have a submit button because I'm not submitting anything, but you will see that as more intuitive on your end where that is. So if you have any questions about anything, you can just open it up and view the individual badge or view the challenges. And remember, when you submit a challenge, you have to submit your reflection as well. So once we get into week 5, it's pretty much just going to be a routine after that. We're going to submit in week 5. You're going to review one person, and then you're going to fix whatever needs to be fixed with yours and submit. And then I'll get it and I'll say, hey, it's fantastic, accept, moving on. Or I'll say, I throw every single reflection right into Grammarly because it does a much better job than I do. Well, much quicker job than I do, I guess I should say. And I don't nitpick if the use of words. It'll just be if there's major grammatical errors. I'll just copy it, send that to you, and say, hey, what do you think about using this? So those can get turned rejected. It'll be rejected and resubmission allowed. That's how those usually come back. So that is our whole process in a nutshell. So I'm just going to open it up to you.
I guess I am having a hard time absorbing, comprehending, whatever, the assignment section. So like for right now, my other class that I'm in is the 51300.
Oh, I love that
So
class.
I would assume that means I should be focusing on the badges within that course. Is that right?
Yeah,
Which would
is this
be page
your
1.
first set of classes or?
Yes.
Okay. Then, yeah, so go through what I would do. I would just look at the bingo sheet and see what some of the, and I would go through the assignments tab on the bingo sheet, not tab, but column on the bingo sheet, and just see kind of what looks familiar, because in these initial ones, some of them like communication, you can simply use emails from work. For feedback, you can use feedback that you give someone in class as well. So you can,
okay.
yeah.
So under the assignments, like you were saying earlier, it doesn't have to be research paper feedback, but it can be feedback received via email, feedback received, I don't know, via a webinar, something like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. So feel free to expand past that. I like to think of those, especially as we start, as the low-hanging fruit, if you will, because I think most of us have done quite a few things like that. So just take a look at the bingo sheet and go down the assignments, or you can even look at the challenge and see what kind of makes sense, like solicit, accept, and provide constructive feedback. That could be something you did at work, something you did in class, something you did in our class. It could be any of that stuff. Explain key concepts related to instructional design. Well, did you write in a publication, do some research or white paper? Does that have to be it? No. Did you do something for work, whether you're in industry or education? Did you do something where you had to explain something, and then we can use that. Now, you do want it to be something you're really proud of, because this is meant for people to look at. There's gonna be a lot of eyes on it, so you want, like, yeah, that represents me. You want to kind of have that thought process.
So I think if I were to use something from work, I'm trying to think of, I can't share anything work related, right? I sign non-disclosure agreements for that. So do you just strip out anything that specifically calls out your company or individual names?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And for instance, let's look at ID professional communicator. Write and edit messages that are clear, concise, and grammatically correct. That could be a job aid, instructional material. So did you have to write a set of instructions, stuff like that?
Okay. And I can just put like a fake mock company and things like that.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I don't want to dive into that area. I don't want to know. Just
You don't want to get me fired. Thank you.
no. We'll save that for another class.
Okay.
So does that help kind of clarify on how to come up with what you need to come up with?
I think so. And if we have any other questions about it, just run them past you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you're not certain, I'm available. You could text me, you can call, you can email. This class, we have the first 5 weeks to kind of figure all that out. So we're not in a mad rush. And
Okay.
we don't want to get in a mad rush in week 4.5. You know,
Right.
we want to have everything set up this week with in the submission blog. So we want to know what we're going to do this week, and then that gives us a couple weeks just to kind of start honing it and working on it. And we're going to do a couple practice things in the discussion forums as well. But those are going to start in week 3, the practice.
So this week, what you want us to do is just basically in the blog, create what we want to, the challenges we want to do. Just create that table.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
create that table. That's the big deal for this week. That's the whole thing for this week. And it has to be 4.
4 of them.
Just remember the magic number 4, because when you get into others, it's going to go up to 9.
Okay.
So just think here is just 4.
Okay.
4 yes for me in Passport is the magic number.
Okay. And then one other question, and it was just from the bingo sheet. When you ask feedback, does that include discussions that we had in one of the courses too? Like in the discussion forum when, for example, let's say I'm just starting this semester, so it's my first semester with them. Just like they ask you for a definition and they're just basically giving you feedback. Would that count as feedback, or it has to be more of a
that can count as feedback. Where you're going to differentiate is when you write your reflection, you're going to specifically state what the feedback was, how you used it, and things like that. So you're going to kind of dive a little bit deeper into that and just make it look make it look good on the paper. Obviously it's not paper. Just don't copy paste into this was my discussion and everything is plain text, 400 words. I'm like, well, this is great, but nobody wants to read it, So just make it precise on what you're doing, if you choose to go that way.
And so it's 4 of the super badges, right?
4 assignments.
4 assignments. Okay.
Yes, because you can do multiple. So if you want to do professional foundations and LDT or whatever, you can do multiple. Because it's not just going to be 1 to gain that super badge. So right now we're just doing 4 assignments. Artifacts is what we're calling them originally. So you might hear me say that quite often.
Assignments equals artifacts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. And then we're doing 4 sub badges then. So we pick a super badge, then a sub badge, and then 4 of those, right?
Yeah, so you're going to pick whatever the super badge is, whatever sub badge is, the challenge, and then the assignment.
Okay.
So you will have 4. They don't all have to be 1 super badge or anything.
Okay.
So just as long as it's 4 separate assignments. So like say professional foundations and LDT, you could do 4 right here.
Yeah, that's
if you wanted to. Or you could pick 1 here, 1 in planning and analysis, 1 in design and development. That's why I say go down and look at the challenge and the assignments and see where you want to fall with that. Yeah.
But you don't earn that super badge until you've done all of the sub badges, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So you probably won't be earning a super badge this first time through with the 4 artifacts. So don't have that as an expectation.
Okay.
Oh,
This
so it's
is
as
our
you complete the
introductory.
program. Okay.
Yeah, because you're going to
Got
be
it.
going through 5. So if anybody out there is worried about completing a super badge, this isn't the class to worry about it. Start worrying about
Okay.
that on the next one and the next one.
Got it.
Yeah, we want to get in the flow, put in some good artifacts, know exactly what we need to do. So when we start getting into the 590s that we have to submit 9 challenges for, we're really good with them. We're just kind of knocking them out. They're not causing a lot of stress within our other class. That's
Okay.
my goal. That's my goal, to get everybody out of here so they have a solid understanding of this and they're really good at it, so it doesn't cause stress in all the other classes.
Are you able to work ahead in this class?
That's a good question, because and that's a gray area, because you still have to get peer reviews done. So you can post everything, but you may or may not get your peer reviews completed.
Okay.
So yes, you can, as far as submitting to the discussions, but getting the peer reviews done, you can ask people, but a lot of people are swamped with, life, work, family,
Right.
and another class. So it may or may not happen.
But you can just hold on to that stuff for the future class and then do minor tweaks.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not saying I'm going to have extra time for this. I just figured I'd ask the question.
And you know what I would do? This is the George secret of success. I have a large family and just a lot of stuff going on. And what I would personally do is, as I go through each class, I would make sure that I am building artifacts that match this stuff here. So when I get to my different 590s, I'm set up. I'll still have some tweaks to do with it, because some classes may, the instructor may be looking purely at content and just making sure everything's there, and they're not really hunting down grammar errors, things like that. So you may have some changes like that to make. So there are adjustments you may have to make, but I would be kind of focused on getting things that I can align with this pretty easy.
Okay. And then if 513 is my other class, it sounds like it's in my best interest to focus on those assignments versus all of the other ones that you can choose from on the bingo sheet.
What assignments are in 513 now? Do you happen to know right off the top of your head?
I know that my first one, sorry, I'm struggling to stay organized right now, is the history of instructional design.
Okay.
Instructional design models, learning theories, current trends, professional ethics and organizations, things like that.
So with that, here's what I would do. I would look at the weeks when those are due. And since that class is going to be over, because that's an 8-week class, and our 590 is 16 weeks, you can that would absolutely work, but it won't work for probably like week 5.
Okay.
So I have something for week 5, and then see which one of those assignments are going to align to the different challenges for weeks, for the coming weeks.
Got it.
Because I believe it's 5, 9, 11, and 13, I believe. Let me just look before I just lie to you. Yeah, 5, 9, 11, and 13. Yes.
Okay. Got it.
So you can use those in any assignments that are left over. Keep them well organized in your file system as this goes on. So you can say, oh, this from class X fits this. I know exactly where that is. So it would behoove you to, however you keep your files, just kind of always keep that in the back of your mind.
Okay.
It makes life simple.
Right.
And we all need simple. Yeah. All right. So that, in a nutshell, is what it is. This week, it's the challenge submission blog. As you work through it, if anybody has any questions, let me know. I'm very available. So you can, I believe I posted my phone number and email right there. And I have the email goes straight to the phone. So most of the questions don't take a long-winded answer. Most questions are pretty easily answered. And, just let me know. And if I can answer it back via text, I will. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else before we leave?
No, if I have questions, I will email.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.